Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Brother Strong, the podcast. Brother Strong is designed exclusively for the uplifting and empowerment of black men. To celebrate us while galvanizing our strengths, it's built on the fundamental ideals of self, family, community. For ourselves, it's an introspective proclamation that reminds us that we have to first be strong ourselves. After we're strong, it's our individual responsibility to build strong families. After we've built strong families, it's collective accountability when we build strong communities. Self, family, community. I am. You are. We are a Brother Strong.
Brother Strong.
G, what's going on, baby?
What's up, my brother?
Yo,
Hey, man, let's talk about something that black men don't talk about.
let's do that. And I'm gonna ask you the word
So,
association.
Yeah, let's do that.
You probably done studied it already
no, I
anyway.
haven't studied, but I ain't gonna take long.
So what we do right here is I'm gonna give you a word, and you give me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Healing,
Faith.
faith.
The reason I say faith is, I grew up, of course, in church. And when you say healing, do you believe that whatever you're going through mentally, physically, emotionally, do you believe that you can get out of it? And the Word of God, for me, allows. Whenever I have a pain, whenever I, feel, first thing I say, by His stripes I'm healed.
Listen,
That's the first thing I think about.
by His stripes I'm here.
I don't say where's the answer. I just say by His stripes I'm healed.
Yo, I go through the whole thing. I said, you were wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace is upon you, and by His stripes, I go through that whole thing. Peace.
Sleep. For me, you said the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
thing
yeah.
that
Comes to your mind.
For me is because, for me to be peaceful, I got to get sleep. Because when I'm worrying or when I'm stressed out, I don't get sleep. So for me to have peace
is equivalent.
I can sleep. Yeah.
Therapy.
Just learning about that.
That's the first thing that comes to your mind. Just learning about
because it's new. That's why I say new.
it. Okay.
New. And I'll tell you why a little later.
Crisis.
Consistent. From a business standpoint, you got to be able to manage crisis. So to me, I'm never going to be so comfortable that I know a crisis ain't coming. I know something. I got to be prepared. So crisis in business, they're consistent. They're coming. It's like the stock market. It's at some point. So when I hear the word crisis, I'm thinking consistent. I got to be prepared.
Consistent. That's an interesting thought. Consistent crisis. And lastly, but not least, self-care.
Man, the word ashamed comes to me because I've lived 60-some years and I'm just getting into self-care because I'm the type of person always making sure everyone else is taken care of. Self-care it was unknown. What the heck is it didn't make sense until now.
And I know those words are in order, but I actually put them in that order because I wanted that word to be the last word that you gave voice to out of those, because I think that that's probably one of the biggest lacks for us as black men.
Yeah, man. Self-care. I'm listening to the word, and for a long time, that word didn't make sense to me.
It still kind of doesn't really make sense right now.
Care for yourself. You need someone to care for you. How do you care for you? It just doesn't make sense to me because you're a caregiver. You're caring for someone else. How can you care for yourself if you need care? If you think about it, if I'm your caregiver, I have to care for you.
Right.
If I need care, how am I going to care for myself?
No, no. Listen,
the word just doesn't make sense to me. And so since it doesn't make sense until recently, I've never been the type of person to, I always sacrifice to make sure other folks are straight. You know what I'm saying? And so, but now I'm understanding the importance of I don't want to say taking care of myself. I'll say listening to myself.
I think we hear it. If I'm honest, I don't know if it's 10 years yet, but I would definitely say in the last 5 or 6 years, mental health and emotional wellness has been something for us. So we wouldn't even hear words like self-care, healing and therapy for black
I'm gonna be
men.
honest with you. When I found out you had launched Black Men's Have Feelings, it didn't make sense to me. When I say it didn't make sense to me, I take that back.
No.
I
I
didn't understand what it really was. I had a hard time. Okay, so what kind of feelings are you talking about?
Well, and y'all see every time I'm moving the mic and moving it back, but in every episode here lately, I've been wearing Black Men Have Feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things that I tell everybody is that this is not just about our emotions.
Mm-hmm.
It's a statement of humanity, and so to the popular culture. To the popular culture, it's a statement of humanity. It says that I am a man,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is our first step to self-care. It says that I am a human being. I love just like you. I could hate too, just like you if you push me, right? And I think secondly, it's a statement of appreciation and celebration to black women.
Mm-hmm.
Popular culture, black women. And why is that? It's because I want to be appreciated and celebrated just like you do, which I guess is still another form of self-care.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a statement from brother to brother of shared experience, which says that when they see me, they see you. But I don't think that, I think that it's a more broad statement than people think when they see it.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to say that if I'm honest, it came out of my almost 2 decades of working in mental health. And serving young black men.
That shirt that you're wearing didn't resonate with me until I created Father Figure.
Why?
Because when I created Father Figure, talking about men trying to reconnect with sons and the things that they were going through from their side, because a lot of times when you hear the word deadbeat, it's because a man is not in the life, but no one asks why he's not in the life. It's like, dude, we got feelings too.
Mm-hmm.
Can someone, listen to my side of the story, why I feel the way I do? It resonated totally different when I created Father Figure. And that's why I reached out to you. It's like, okay, it clicks now. It's amazing how if you're not going through it, if you don't know you need help, you can see help right in front of you.
Right.
I've saw that shirt for years and wore it for a couple of years before it clicked.
Right.
I was wearing it because of the creator.
Right. Because
the
that's
creation.
Right. I got you. And that makes sense, but that's so often for us in our community, how we step away from having those moments of emotional wellness, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have heard mental health now, like I said, for like the last 10 years. It's like, and I don't want to get in trouble for saying this, but there's some parts of me that,
Say it.
there's some parts of me that think that we've overused the word mental health for black men to the point where it might almost be
A turnoff.
an excuse.
Yeah.
It's, well, my mental health. It allows us to not do something and blame something else.
We talk about media, just like I don't like the word hustle.
Right.
I don't care for the word mental health.
Me either.
Because I grew up, and when I heard the word mental health, I associated with something that was wrong with someone.
Mm-hmm.
I associated with the word mental health with someone that needed. They weren't quite always all there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, if I need mental help, if I need therapy, am I going to associate myself with what I think that is?
Yeah.
So I'm going to stay away from it as far as I can.
Well, I think that's a very interesting approach, because I'm with you.
I mean, the
Because
first time
most
you heard
times
the word
mental
mental,
health, it's
when you heard
almost-
someone is mental, I mean, think about
Right,
it. That's-
mental. We always thought about something being wrong or
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
It's always that character that you see in a movie who
Crazy.
crazy doesn't quite make it there. But I think it's something a little different than that. And I think when I recognized it, I recognized my need for mental health and emotional wellness. Let me say that because I've always been mentally strong, but emotional wellness was, and I talk about in the last one of the other episodes, when O died, it wasn't just about me grieving his death. It was that was the first time I imagined my own or had a thought about my own mortality. Up until that point, I saw us as invincible. Nobody really thinks about dying, right? And like you said earlier, you came to grips recently with the fact that you got more time behind you than you do ahead of you, right? So I think when we talk about 8 years ago, 45, because O died like his birthday is September 21st, and he died on December 17th. So 3 months after turning 45, he was gone. And O had the greatest bodybuilding guy. He was that dude. So you never even saw him as that, And when he died, I had to think, if that dude could go, because I wasn't thinking I got more time. I got more time behind me than I got in front of me. Because, I asked the Lord for 100 years. So I got to, and I was 45. Or I had just turned 46. So that did something to my psyche. I don't know where it put me. It put me in a different place. And I actually went to therapy that April.
So let's not skip.
Okay.
How did therapy even become an option for you? Like, well, you're in the mental health field, so I guess it's different for you.
I never even thought about myself as being in therapy. Never. When I say that, but I knew that I was different. My boy, first person, Fayetteville State University. Fayetteville State for us was that place. It brought us all together.
Yeah, right.
Anybody who ever saw the Best Man, that movie with Harper, L Boogie, Merch, and Quentin.
That was your game.
That was my game. And so for Quentin to be gone, kind of didn't make sense to me.
So, but again, how did therapy become an option?
Well, therapy became an option because me not knowing that knowing that something was different about me, and I couldn't get myself together. I'll tell you, O died on he died on a Sunday. We buried him on a Saturday. About 2 weeks later, I'm at Sam's. And I see his car, the 132, coming towards me. And I'm going, what's happening right here? And when the car comes past me, one of the guys who was at his funeral was now promoted to his car. And I walked into Sam's after speaking, and a tear came down my face, and I couldn't control it. I was like, like what?
Yeah, right.
What just happened? And so I turned around and I walked out because I was not in control. I wasn't making a sound. I wasn't like boo-hooing or nothing. But tears were just coming down, and I turned around and I walked out, holding my eyes up like this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when I got to my car, I was like, "Yo, this ain't me." Like I didn't cry at my grandmother's funeral.
I'm gonna tell you when therapy hit me, and so being naked, I'm always be transparent, and I'm just being honest, so don't take it personal, people. I always thought therapy was for white folk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I always thought,
can see that,
and that's negative for, and I admit I'm wrong for that. I always thought, okay, they can't handle what they're going through, so they need somebody to talk to.
Yeah, I get
and,
that.
and that's probably bad, and I'm sorry, but I'm just being honest. That was my thought. I don't think like that anymore. I'm gonna tell you when it hit me. Before I'm gonna tell you about the hit, but before the hit, I had couple of family members who said they went through therapy, and it just like, I'm like, huh?
Mm.
It caught my attention from the standpoint of, they going to see a therapist? I didn't judge. It just blew me away, you know? So I was at a function and having some problems with children, mine, to be specific.
Okay.
I was at a function and something happened at that function. Dude, you talked about, walking out of Sam's, couldn't stop the tears. It happened, the situation happened, and then like 10, 15 minutes later, it's like, I had to leave a function, man.
Mm.
I had to leave a function I was supposed to be at. I just couldn't stop. I couldn't stop the tears. And I had to leave.
I
had to leave, get on the road, and just drive back to Winston. And it took me about 3 days to get over that incident. Dude, those that don't get, I am a person who can compartmentalize.
Mm-hmm.
If you told me today, Jeremy, we through? Jeremy, I put you in that box, close the drawer, I don't think about you no more. But for that incident that happened, I had no control over what I was feeling. And it took me, after that third day, I said, I will never, ever go through that again. I don't care what. And I made up my mind then, I'm gonna go talk to somebody.
Well, that's basically how it happened. I was that happened when I walked out of Sam's. I got to my car and I sat there for a second, and then when I made it home, I called a friend of mine, Dr. Andrea Neal, was working at Fayetteville State University, and she said, "Well, I got a friend that I'll give you the number for." And I called her because, like I said, I had been working in mental health, and I knew that this wasn't quite me.
Something was off. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something was off because that happened in December, but it wasn't until April because she and I talked about it, and she and I started talking about it first, and then she told me she had a number or something that she wanted me to call, and I when I got there, I was like, "Ooh," I started dropping stuff, right?
Right.
I actually had. How deep we gonna go right here? So, do we go?
Go.
So I actually had I was in this one session with her, and we were talking, and she was like, "What's going on?" She was like, "Yo, what's going on?" I was like, "Yo, I had a situation with a friend of mine who says that I only touch her when we go to the bedroom. We don't touch outside of that." And she was like, "Okay, let's explore that." So one of her meetings that day, she said, "I need you to call your mom and dad and talk to them about it." I was like, "What?" So I called them, and then ultimately we got to the bottom of it. And my mom was like, "Well, when you were a kid, I didn't hold you as much because your brother used to cry all the time. So you were the child that I held the least out of my 5." And I was like, wow. And after that whole experience, I remember Todd Galbraith and I were talking one day. And I said, "Yo, do you understand? I want you to listen to what I'm about to tell you." I said, going to therapy did more for me than any altar call has ever done, in the sense that I had the ability to lay things down that I had never even thought about expressing in that way.
Let me tell you what it did for me. I'm new into therapy. I've had my initial session a couple of weeks ago. But just after that one session, because I told you I compartmentalize. I mean, I can put something in a drawer and never go back to it. That therapy allowed me to open that drawer and to get it out. Ain't nothing in that drawer no more.
Nothing?
No, okay, let me explain. if I put Jeremy in a drawer and close it up, I never have to deal with Jeremy no more. Therapy allowed me to open the drawer, talk about Jeremy. Jeremy not in the drawer no more. Jeremy does. It's gone. So I'm not holding on to stuff, and I'm not dealing with stuff on the inside. I'm excited about the therapy from the standpoint that I'm not being judged. I'm allowed to talk and just freely get things off of my chest without, and then someone giving me who doesn't have a horse in the race, as we say, asking me questions that I can respond to without thinking, why are they asking me this?
So tell me, like growing up, what was it that, or what messages did you receive about your emotions? Like what caused you to be that person that you could just put people into a drawer or situations into a drawer and never deal with it again?
I don't know if it's how I grew up. It goes back to, I understand Garrett. I have to be creative to work and to eat. Anything that's going to block my creativity gets put into a drawer.
Has that always been?
Always. I could. Okay, I'm gonna be naked because I want to share some things. My mother and I have always been on good terms. My mother has Alzheimer's now, so every moment I spend with her, is precious. My grandmother reared me. Okay, I was around my grandma Goodness and Jesse, forever. When I went off to college, there was a part of me, and when I went off to college, my grandfather had passed. A month into college, my grandmother passed. So the people that I was closest to were gone. Nothing against my mother, nothing against my aunts and my sisters. Dude, I didn't go home for years. Not because years. I would call.
Yeah.
I would communicate. They had a surprise birthday party for me that I didn't even show up to. So when you talk about being different, geez, different. I'm so tunnelly focused on what I'm doing, nothing else matters. That has been a curse and a blessing. And so when I tell you I can put something in a drawer and shut it, I don't care who it is.
Yeah, that's kind of deep. So, I mean, obviously, we can see the blessing part of it.
Yeah, but there's another side of it that people.
Yeah.
Don't
So
see.
what's you want to unpack that or no? What's been the curse?
Dude, my mother has Alzheimer's, and so I can't go back and get that time.
Right.
I can't.
No.
My sisters, I've spent so much time creating that I wasn't there. I can't go back and get that. And so the only thing I can do now is learn from learn from that and try to heal from that. And what time I have left, on this planet is to lay down principles for my nieces and my nephews and those that's close to me, like, okay, take this in consideration when you're going down this road. Because I don't know if you told me about Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
When I've been thinking about that ever since.
Dude, I think about it every day.
Tell our audience what you tell.
So I was listening to Sirius the last time I was here, and Michelle Obama told a story about one of the last opportunities she had with her mom. She said her mom was sitting on the couch and said, "Wow." And she reached over and touched her hand and said, "Wow, what, Mom?" And her statement was, her mom said 3 words that impacted her life in a way that it's changed her thinking from here on out. She said, after her mom said, "Wow," she said, "What's wrong? What, Mom?" Her mom said, "It went fast." She said, "What went fast?" Life.
Jeremy, in another episode, we talked about the start. You were there. We were traveling in 6 or 7 cars with furniture in the back of a pickup truck, going to do plays. Where we are now, who knows where we're going, dude? It goes by.
It
quick.
went fast.
It went fast, man.
I was actually talking to one of my frat brothers, Stefan, the other day. Stefan has an 8-year-old son, and I said, the one thing that you have in your life, if you didn't know how fast it went, is you have a measuring stick with a child. Because to say that I have a 31-year-old daughter right now absolutely blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. And then in that process, G, think about the fact that the one thing that I want my son to do is understand, like, self-care is a part of appreciating the time that we have. Because I think what we're trying to do, understanding our mental and emotional wellness right now, it's a part of understanding time is all we got.
That's it.
Everything else is accumulated in that.
I find myself, there's one thing, I only have one vice, and that's golf. But golf, those that know me, I run 1,000 miles a minute. I have to have somebody literally on the road running behind me, picking up everything that I leave behind because I'm moving so fast, like a Kenya.
Right.
But if I don't play golf 2 or 3 times a week, I will literally start to go crazy. Golf is the only thing. I go to bed with my mind racing. I literally have to be really, really, really tired to get a really, really good sleep. Because I'm always thinking about how do I do this. But golf allows me, dude, when I'm out on the golf course, I don't think about nothing but golf.
Nothing.
I don't think about, if I'm playing with my golf buddies, I don't think about nothing but how I'm going to beat them, or how they're going. We're enjoying the scene. I don't think about nothing. That's the only sanctuary that happens in.
So that's your
therapy.
self-care tool and therapy.
Yeah, it is. It is, man. And people think
so
it's crazy.
When did you start playing? When did you figure that out? What'd you do? How did you take? Like, cause I think self-care right now is every time we think about it, we're thinking like in a women's term, like something on me getting my face exfoliated or something,
dude, I gotta
getting
play
some
golf,
nails.
man. Golf is the only thing that stops my mind from just running.
How long have you been playing?
I've been playing golf since I was in college, but it didn't hit like this until probably maybe 5-6 years ago.
What'd you do to take care of you before then? How did you slow yourself down?
I don't know if I was. Because I can't tell you one thing I was doing to take care of myself. I can't.
So let's say right now, if we were talking to young people or whoever is listening to this, as a man, 60 years old, so you're 55 before you start to have a self-care.
Which is crazy.
Right.
Well, I didn't know what self-care was before then, And I guess because of what happened to my grandmother and my mother, me being an advocate, for health care and caregiving, it opened up a whole nother world with AARP and the Alzheimer's Association. I became knowledgeable about all these things about taking care of yourself, and it made me start looking at things differently. If I didn't have that, I don't know if I'd be looking at it like, you know what I'm saying? So You mix that with golf, is like.
Here's something that I even thought about myself. Like being single and everything, who checks on you? Because you're saying being a caregiver and all of those things, but who checks on you?
Break that down. You got to be specific.
Who checks on you? Like when you talk about being a caregiver and giving all of those things to other people?
I don't know, man. Yeah, my inner circle here at G Davis. Do I have people that check on me? Yes, but in terms of I just, sadly, I just do what I have to do. And then knowing what I know, I try to manage what I do to make sure that I'm here to do it.
Well, I think in another one of those episodes that we taped, I don't know, I think one of the things that we're talking about with our bodies right now, we have to check on one another.
Mm-hmm.
I guess having an accountability partner is
Oh yeah.
definitely
Mm-hmm.
a tool for self-care. I guess in this.
Well, let me ask you this: what do you do for self-care?
I ain't got golf. I don't know. I mean, I think even though it's a word that you don't like, I think here lately, particularly after the pandemic, I've been on the grind. I've been hustling. I've been trying to figure it out.
But
So
is that good for you health-wise? Maybe good for you therapy-wise, but is it good for you health-wise? If you're grinding and I don't know. I'm just something to think about.
Yeah, I don't know that I got. I don't know that I have that at this point.
And I think people listening, what I want, I don't want you to think, like Jeremy and I, we got it all together. And here we are, mid 50s and 60s, and we're trying to figure out what do we do for us. So we want you to start thinking about what you gonna do for you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we definitely gotta get at it. I know we're about to wrap this up.
So before we go, I'm gonna pull out these two questions. Do men use the women in their lives as therapists who handle the emotional labor of the relationship?
No. I can only speak from my personal experience. Do men use the women in their lives
As therapists. I would answer that and give you time to think about it because I know you like to think. I would say no because for one, I've never saw myself as going to a therapist period anyway. And
Right.
if I do it, I'm doing it unknowingly. But I wouldn't like with my wife. There's some things that we talk about. I'm not asking as a therapist to get it off. I'm just generally asking her opinion. But there's certain things I won't ask because I don't want to know your opinion because I've got it in here. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes perfectly good sense. I would have said the same thing. I think that women see us, if particularly black men, I think that if a woman sees us, it's the thing that we listened to in the last episode. They want to see us vulnerable, but then they see us as weak if we're too vulnerable, right? So that's that psychotic dichotomy that we have playing right there. So I don't think that we use women as therapists at all because sometimes we don't even want to tell. We're the problem solvers. In most cases, men want to solve the problems of the woman in their lives. They're not going to bring their problems to them. So if I'm talking I can only speak from a personal position.
What about if we were to reverse the question? Do women use men as therapists when they vent and try to get things out?
I think so. I think that
That's why we need a woman
sitting there right there because I think that if I think about the structure of my relationships or past relationships, I was always the person who was kind of like giving the advice or talking about what could fix this problem in your life.
Now that I think about it, the female friends that I have, I hadn't thought about it until this question came up. I'm not saying I serve as a therapist, but I'm trying to give them advice. I'm generally trying to give them something through examples and analogies to open their mind up to see, not telling them what to do, but just giving them some things to think about. That make sense?
It does. I mean, I'm fully with you. I think that we have been more of problem solvers than we have been because, it's a thing going around right now where this woman calls a guy on camera, and she was like, "Well, I need to get my brakes fixed, and I need to do this, that, and the other," and she's just showing that she could just juice this guy for money. And he was like, "Okay, well, I'm going to my second job. Just go ahead and find out how much it costs because that's going to be expensive, and I'll just go ahead and send you the money that you need." That's generally the position that men have taken, is that we want to fix the problem for her, not her fix the problem for us.
Yeah. The producer was, off camera, was talking about this trending thing about men calling other men to say goodnight.
Man,
Jeremy, just know if I call you at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm broke down.
Right,
It's
that's
not
it.
the
I ain't calling it say goodnight. I think that's a whole different. That's a whole different show, G. Man, go ahead. So where was that? Listen, let's get out of here. You got some more?
No, man, I'm good, man.
Listen, y'all be good out there, and we'll catch you next time on Brother Strong, the podcast. All right? We'll holler.